Good morning, everyone. My name is Jordan Eller, and I am one of the community services managers here at Alta Regional Center. Welcome to Coffee with Community Services. It's October 3rd. Nice fall weather's coming in. Hope you guys have been enjoying some of that rain. So I do just want to let folks know that John Decker's at a conference today, so he won't be present. The CSS managers will be hosting you today. Um, we also want to make an announcement. I'll announce it at the end again as well. But due to the 3-day holiday next weekend, we will not be hosting Coffee with Community Services on the 10th of October, which is next Friday. So just a little FYI on that. So before we get into our agenda, I'll go ahead and start out by introducing some of our regional center staff that are on with us today. So far, we have about 55 participants. And starting off, I see Miss Alejandra. Good morning, Alejandra. She's in our community services department, working on supported living services and residential too, Alejandra, or mostly SLS?
Day day programs as well.
Day programs as well. Okay, I
Yes,
knew that
thank
there
you.
was another component. Thank you. And then we, of course, have Carly, our employment specialist. Good morning, Carly. And we have Tom. Tom has been very busy creating day program options and getting things vendored in some of our outlying counties. So great job on that, Tom. We also have Hubert, our emergency response coordinator. Good morning, Hubert. He will be sharing some updates with us on emergency preparedness later in the agenda. We also have Michael, our deaf of hard of hearing specialist. Good morning, Michael. He will also be giving us the sign of the week in our deaf culture.
Good morning.
And good morning. And good morning to Jason. Jason is one of our lead community services specialists here at Alta. He just does an amazing job for us. So good morning to you, Jason. And of course, we have Mr. Scott Barr, our quality assurance manager in community services. And Miss Janice Rhodes. Janice Rhodes helps with our court matters. She is our specialized court liaison. She helps write 6,500 civil commitments for clients that require that level of support. We also have Ethan. Ethan's in Helen's unit working on clinical type services. Good morning, Ethan. And of course, Miss Christine Hobbs, one of our vendor coordinators, helping us make sure we get all our vendorizations completed in a timely fashion. Good morning. And we have Miss Rava, one of our client advocates. Good morning, Rava. And Odelia is on with community services as well. She'll be sharing some residential reminders with you guys. I also see Boyd. Good morning, Boyd. He is part of Scott's unit on our quality assurance team. And Miss Sammy Lynn. Sammy Lynn is part of our SIR desk and she helps with our mortality review matters. Good morning to Sammy. And Kylie. Kylie is an HCBS specialist on Scott's team. Good morning. We also have Mason. Mason's on Helen's team and works with clinical services. He's also going to share an update on a vendor forum that we have coming. Good morning to Dana. Dana is one of our client services managers for enhanced supports. Good morning, Dana. And it looks like we have Miss Jessica on. Jessica is also in community services working on clinical type vendorization with Helen's unit. We got Brandy Jeffries on. She's part of our CSS team working on adult services. And Miss Christy Iwasa. Christy Iwasa is our transition specialist. She helps folks that are in our community crisis homes and some of our enhanced behavioral homes. We also have Jaslyn on. Good morning, Jaslyn, helping with, I think, a variety of medical equipment type requests, right? Also working on clinical services. And then we have Damon. Damien is working on transportation services for us. He's in Michelle's unit. And of course, Miss Rhonda, our housing specialist. So we also have Miss Virginia Gabby on. Virginia is a community, she specializes in development for our community resource development plan. She actually just got our first group home for children with special health needs vendored. I know that we discussed that last week. So I think I've got most of the folks that have their camera on. So without further ado here, we will transition it over to Michael for our deaf culture and I'm going to spotlight you, Michael. So you might have to readjust your spotlights, but so that he can start that for us. Thank you.
Great. Hello. Let me get settled here. Okay, great. Now I can see everyone. Excellent. Happy Friday. So first I'm going to start with the sign of the week, and they are about Halloween, which is very exciting. I know I've gotten some emails from you. So I encourage you to, if you haven't emailed me, please email me whatever signs you're thinking of for Halloween, horror, scary, spooky stuff. I want to know what words you want to learn for Halloween. So today we've got Halloween costume, and I'm blanking. Oh my gosh. Ghost and feeling spooky. Okay, we ready to learn the signs of the week? So that first one, Halloween costume. So the first word there is Halloween, which looks like this. We're using both hands. We're closing our fingers together, cupping a little bit, covering our face, and moving it back and forth like a peekaboo mask. Halloween. Halloween. And then for that second word, costume. Costume like this. Alternating hands, touching our thumbs to our chest. Both hands are open. Now, when we do both together, it means Halloween costume. Great. Now for our second, ghost. Again, both hands. Okay, so we're showing the shape of a ghost, and you can put a little spooky face on to show how spooky ghosts are. So we're moving back and forth, alternating. And then for our third, we've got spooky. We've got two signs for that actually. So we can sign this sign and we can show that we're a little spooked, we're scared. Or we can say feeling. Remember this sign, middle finger, rest of the fingers are still open. And then this represents getting chills, goosebumps. So we're going to show that hair standing up on our arm. Feeling spooky. Feeling spooky. Okay, let's do those three again. Halloween costume, ghost, and feeling spooky. Good job. Now for deaf culture. The topic for this week is, do companies really include the deaf community? And this question is important because oftentimes, maybe this is something that you've noticed as well, that companies will develop goods or services that are specifically geared towards deaf and hard of hearing people, and it's advertised specifically to this community. But the question is, are there any deaf or hard of hearing people on the development team who made these goods or services? And the usual answer is no, which is unfortunate, of course. And we're going to talk about why. I'm going to give some examples and give you an idea of what happens when there are no deaf and hard of hearing people on that development team. So oftentimes they may have the idea that they know better, that they don't need deaf or hard of hearing people to tell them what deaf or hard of hearing people need. They are experts. They know exactly what deaf or hard of hearing people need in their lives. Or it's a business opportunity, right? So they're just thinking about the profits and revenue they'll make. They're not interested in building rapport with the deaf community. Or they may not understand that deaf or hard of hearing people may have the expertise needed to help their team. Or that they don't want to hire a deaf or hard of hearing person to be on their team because interpreters are expensive and they're not interested in creating accessibility in the workplace. So these are the common answers to this question. So deaf people are often skeptical of when companies are making claims that they are accessible when trust yet hasn't been built between these communities. When deaf or hard of hearing people aren't on the team, these goods or services are usually no good. They are not helpful and don't serve us in real life. If they're looking to solve a particular problem without fully understanding the problem or without fully understanding deaf culture, And some companies are showing lack of interest in hiring deaf or hard of hearing individuals, which of course then hurts their goods or services. They're not involved in the deaf community. They're not out in the community recruiting deaf people specifically. And this attitude, deaf people will notice this attitude that there are no deaf or hard of hearing people on the team, that there's no interest in collaboration. Trust is immediately lost, or was never existent, rather. They're not interested in hearing feedback about how their goods or services are unhelpful or even harmful, that having deaf or hard of hearing people on their team would be beneficial. And so now I'm going to share some examples of both sides. Specifically, right now, I'm going to share of teams that do have deaf or hard of hearing people on their team. I'm going to share my screen, in fact. Okay, so making sure interpreter can still see me, they can. And we can all see the PowerPoint. Great. So these are just some examples of some failed ideas, these goods or services that did not work out. And, deaf people are visual people, so I'm showing you some visuals. This is something that you may have heard of. It was in the news for a little bit. So these sign language gloves. This man that you see this picture of is hearing. He's got these very technical gloves with all these sensors and things on them. And when he signs, the gloves say the words that he signed. And this is not new. This happened a few years ago. This was a college student who had a project and he created these gloves. And people think that this is incredible, right? People think that this is an awesome idea, um, that these gloves can recognize the movement, but they, sorry, interpreter uh, communication happening. Sorry for the interruption. So the uh, gloves seemed very novel and exciting, but the deaf community was very skeptical and wasn't sure if there were deaf people on the team. Who are they working with? Do they have any people who actually are fluent in sign language on their team? This guy in the video is signing very robotic, right? The glove obviously has certain limitations of what it's going to understand. It may not understand me. So this guy had to sign very robotic and lacked fluidity. ASL, again, is not just the hands. I think I've talked about this before. It involves body language, facial expression. Um, um, and so all of those things are happening at the same time and are all separate parts of the language. So these sign language gloves are obviously only measuring the hands, not the face. So they got a grant to participate with this project, and they asked deaf people to be the model of the sign language gloves, but there were no deaf people on the development team. So they were then tokenizing the deaf community members for their project, and this was a great example of a failed idea. I've got another one here for you. So these caption glasses, I'm actually going to go back a little bit if you don't mind. One more point about these sign language gloves. So they speak, right? So these gloves are emitting sound that are supposedly saying what I'm signing, but I would not be able to monitor its accuracy because I'm deaf. How will I know that it's truly saying what I'm signing? So in deaf culture, there's one slang word is the word champ. We say champ like if we're texting it out. But another sign that may look similar to how we sign champ is mushroom or broccoli. How is it going to differentiate between those English words? So it's quite clunky and lots of room for error. Now these caption glasses, um, they, you know, the glasses will hear and have sort of auto captioning happening. Um, and they'll see them here on the lens. But a lot of deaf people have some concerns about these. That they that this is not necessarily a new technology. When deaf people go to the movie theater, there's lots of different options that we can access closed captioning, and one of them is with glasses that are similar to this. So the technology is not new. You also need to open your phone, you need to download an app, and you need the app open while the glasses are being used. Okay, now I'm fine. I have access to the words happening around me. How am I going to respond? So this could be good for hard of hearing people who have the ability to speak, who went through speech therapy. At the same time, then does this mean I'm staring at a light all day? That might be straining. What if I'm having a hard time seeing it? How do I adjust? So I'm foreseeing very quick eye strain and eye fatigue happening. How long does the battery last? I have many questions. So the folks selling this and advertising this are using deaf influencers on social media to advertise these events or these products. So it is marketed specifically for deaf people, but it doesn't seem that there are deaf people on the development team, which is ironic. I'm going to show you a little clip here, or this picture. So look at these. Look at this price, right? They're $2,000 for just some glasses with some old technology in it. This woman here did find the exact same product on a different website and it was only $370. So there's another discrepancy here. $2,000 for glasses. I would rather choose those Apple Pro vision glasses, those VR glasses, than buy these because I could use them for different things, right? There would be multiple benefits for me. So that's just another example of a failed idea, good or service where there were no deaf people on the development team. We're going to go ahead and switch interpreters now.
All right, ready to go? All right, as far as captioning devices, there are some others out there. Typically, when a deaf person wants to go to the movies, there is this cup holder device. It's called Captioning View. I'm not sure if any of you have seen it. Great idea in concept, but in use, it's not effective because as you can see, it comes out of the cup holder and then that flimsy sort of stand does not stay put because of its weight. It often leans to the side. We have to readjust multiple times throughout the movie. Sometimes the battery dies. We have to then leave the movie theater, go out to the front desk and have it exchanged. Also, oftentimes the captioning is incorrect and we are unable to enjoy the movie. So great at the beginning, but now that it's 2025 with more and more technological advances, there's a lot more open captions that theaters are offering, and that's just a much better suit since the captions are just right there on the screen. There is no second device needed. All right, so I gave you some examples of failed devices. Let's now go into companies and products that are great at partnering, not excluding deaf and hard of hearing individuals as a part of their development team. Google, fantastic employer of deaf and hard of hearing individuals. They hire HR and deaf individuals in HR, tech development. In a previous presentation, I talked about AI sign language. That gentleman was deaf, and he was a part of the working team with the AI tech involved development. So very neat that Google is one of those companies that is at the forefront of ensuring deaf people are involved. And it's great because deaf individuals can create things like live captioning. So captionings that happen instantaneously. Maybe on a website, if captionings aren't available, there is automatic captioning that is now a standardized product because of a deaf person. Another company that is fantastic when it comes to inclusiveness is Apple. Going to even just an Apple store. Sometimes there's a deaf individual who is employed there that I can then communicate directly with and not have to write back and forth or go through an interpreter. I can ask all the Apple things they want in my native comfortable language. And also whenever they have a new product release, a device, program, software, whatever, there's always a sign language interpreter present for every single announcement, regardless. It doesn't mean I have to request one. It doesn't mean if I'm not sure if I'll be there, it is there 100% of the time, because sometimes the jargon, just relying on caption alone, may not be something where I am able to fully understand, but American Sign Language, there being my native language, I can 100% understand everything. And they provide that 100% of the time. Also, T-Mobile. This individual here is a part of the Chief Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion team, ensuring that T-Mobile ensures access for deaf and hard of hearing individuals when it comes to accessing 911, the deaf community's visual needs that are very specific. So this person being of higher power in T-Mobile is fantastic for our deaf community. All right, now that you see how vital it is to have deaf individuals a part of the company, they may advertise, hey, we've got this device, good, or service for deaf and hard of hearing. Do your research. Check them. Do they have deaf individuals a part of that team? Do they partner with deaf individuals out in the community? Are they aware of deaf culture and very specific things that we would need for whatever product or service is developed, and ensuring whether or not trust can be developed? Thank you for your attention in our Deaf Culture One-on-One and Sign of the Week. That is all I have for you today.
Thank you so much, Michael. Does anybody have any questions? Great info. Okay, cool. If you have any other questions, Michael always puts his information in the chat too.
Hold on just a second. Looks like we've got someone else that maybe is deaf and needs an interpreter. I need to find that person.
Okay.
Hold on a second. I don't see whoever they are. I gotta search them. Okay, now I see you. I apologize. Go ahead.
So you said lifetime caption? I want to make sure I have it right.
Yep, if you open up a Google Chrome tab, they have settings, a settings option that does say lifetime captioning. There are some platforms like YouTube or videos that don't have captioning available, or it's not embedded. Google has a feature, specifically a setting for those lifetime captions. April saying, great, thank you so much. I appreciate your all of the information you gave today. Michael says, sure thing.
Excellent. Thank you guys so much. All right, so we will now shift over to our vendor spotlight. We have Shelly Belong from Compass. So Shelly, I am going to spotlight you. If you can just give me a moment, I'll switch up my spotlights here. There we go. So you have the floor.
Great. Hi, thank you all for having me. My name is Shelly Belong. I am the Grants and New Services Supervisor with Compass, SLS and ILS. Usually you hear from my supervisor, Mel Bazell, but she's at a really special event with some of our clients today. So I get to join you. So really grateful to be here. Thank you so much. Get to share an opportunity with you that we have happening on October 29th from 4 to 5:30 p.m. We're going to be hosting a virtual parent cafe, and that's designed to empower families navigating the IDD services to ask questions and gain tools for effective communication and advocacy. So this special event is going to be closing out our family advocacy training grant. This grant is aimed at training families from underrepresented communities in a model of family advocacy designed to honor the culture of families while providing them with social and emotional skills to advocate and plan for the care and needs of their loved ones. So the goal of this grant is that families would increase their service utilization and strengthen connections with regional centers. So this summer, we provided 2 trainings, and in those 2 trainings, we actually got a lot more service providers than families. And so we pivoted a little bit and connected with some of those service providers, some of our community partners, and now we're reaching in to where families already feel comfortable and are already meeting and joining. And so we've been putting on some parent cafes, which has been really fun for us. We're reaching into those resources and we're facilitating conversations around what resources they are already accessing, but then asking the questions about what resources would you love to have? What resources would your community like to have access to? We've also been offering accessibility maps in the forms of resources, and we created and are training on a one-page family description to help those families become more aware of their family's needs and desires, so that when they do start reaching out to get some of those resources, they're more aware of what they're looking for and what they need, and better able to communicate and really share the needs that they have in their family that fit within their community and their culture. So this is a FNRC funded grant, and all of our offerings have been in person so far, but we've learned so much that we want to offer this last event is going to be virtual so that we can bring it to everybody. So that's why we're here with you. We'd love to have you join us for this. So this virtual parent cafe is going to be hosted by Mel. She is going to be interviewing families who have been accessing resources to give them an opportunity to share their story and hopefully inspire other families to access resources. We're also going to facilitate discussion, offer resources, and offer that one-page family description as a resource for families to just get more comfortable in that communication process and knowing what it is that they need. So I am here to invite you to come and share this opportunity with families on your caseload that you know would benefit. So I'm going to drop a link in the chat with the date and time and a link to join. And then I'm also going to drop a link to a flyer with a QR code. If you can send those out to your families, and that will have the link in it so that they can join as well. So that's it for me. Just would love to have you join us. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, for sure, Shelly. That's great. And like she said, she'll drop her information in the chat. I don't see any current questions, but if anybody has questions, they're welcome to unmute themselves and just go ahead and ask. But Shelly, it sounds like it's really exciting. And that was a grant you got for Far Northern Regional Center, right? You had said that was through them, the original partnership.
Right. It's free. It's through them, but we're excited to offer it to
Yeah.
everybody for this final event. So we'd love to have you join us.
That's great. Perfect. Okay, well, if anybody has any questions, they can put them in the chat there for Shelly. Thank you so much, Shelly.
Thank you.
All right, and so next we have Miss Carly. She's going to share some employment workshop information with us.
Thank you. This is going to be quick, but John just wanted to make sure that I share with everyone the upcoming employment work group meeting on October 8th at 10 a.m. At this one, I do believe the department's going to be going over some proposed changes to employment services to get some feedback and whatnot on things that they're hoping to, I think, implement over the next few years. So it'll be a lot of good information. It's on DDS's website under their events section, and you can register ahead of time. And that's it for me.
Okay, cool. Thank you. And it's a work group. I said workshop. I had that wrong. Thank you so much, Carly.
Yeah, it's just a webinar kind of format.
Well, but that's good. It's always good to have our vendors participate in that so DDS can hear from all the hard people out there doing that work, right, in those day program settings. So your guys' information and input is really valuable. So thank you for that, Carly. Okay, and then we have Mason is going to give an update. We have a vendor forum coming up.
Yes, thank you, Jordan. Hello, everyone. We have a early intervention vendor forum coming up on October 17th from 1 to 2. We will be discussing the use of assistance as well as the new enhanced mileage for service code 116. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to myself or Jessica. Thanks.
Thank you. And then, Mason, is that event on our events calendar, or can you drop the link for it's remote, right?
Yeah, we sent it out to the 116 providers via email. Jessica sent it
Okay.
out last week.
Okay. And then if you want to drop it in the chat here, just in case there's any other providers that want to just easily grab it, that would be great. Appreciate that,
Sounds
Mason.
good.
Okay, and then we have another Helen Neary, our
And this is Michael. I'm sorry to interrupt. There is one deaf person on our Zoom meeting, in addition to me. Do you mind spotlighting both interpreters so that we can both see the interpreters easily?
Absolutely. Let me take care of that right now.
Thank you.
Give me just a second. I want to make sure I got both of you guys. I know that one's just one sec.
This is the other interpreter. I've just turned my camera on. You might not have been able to do so without my camera on.
Okay, just one
Okay.
second. Thank you so much. Okay, and then we're gonna
Another deaf person saying, thank you. It's so much better now.
Okay, is that good? Okay. Thank you guys for that reminder. I'll make sure to do that moving forward.
Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. So Helen, if you want to go ahead and give the update on the next vendor forum we have coming.
Yes, thank you, Jordan. We also have a behavior services vendor forum on Monday at 10 o'clock, 10 to 11. So if there are any behavior services vendors here, the CR48 service code, you are invited to the Monday's vendor forum. And I will drop the flyer on the chat. So you feel free to get the flyer, and the link is on the flyer. Thank you, Jordan.
Thank you so much, Helen. Okay, so yeah, if you guys have any questions on that, you can always reach out to Helen and her team. And then we also wanted to give some day program rate reform reminders. So Jason?
Yes, thanks, Jordan. Good morning, everyone. So this is just a quick friendly reminder for those adult day programs that have transitioned to the 532 service code, which is behavior day services, and the 533 service code, which is medical day services, that the addendums are due on November 1st. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me or your assigned specialist. I'll go ahead and put my email in the chat.
Perfect. Thank you, Jason. All right, and we have Miss Odelia. Odelia is also going to share an update for the residential providers regarding rate reform.
Sure. Thank you, Jordan. We have been meeting with our residential providers for the rate reform directives from DDS regarding service level 3 providers. We are required to ensure that they're in compliance by the end of the year with the program designs. So we're asking them to submit the program design addendums to their assigned specialists by November the 1st, which will allow us time to review those addendums, get those approved, and put them into the system by the end of the year. So everybody needs to be in compliance by January 1st. So please continue to reach out to your assigned specialists and submit those program designs so that we can get those processed for you guys. I'll put my email in the chat so that if you do not know who your assigned specialist is, I'll be glad to look that up for you if you just send me an email. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Odelia.
Sure.
Okay, and next we'll turn it over to Hubert, our emergency response coordinator.
Thanks, Jordan. All right. Can everyone see my screen here?
We sure can.
It should be the emergency preparedness bulletin.
Yes.
Okay, sounds good. Well, good morning, everyone. Today I'll just be taking a few moments to kind of just talk about being prepared for emergencies, especially since we transition from summer to fall. Right, so obviously in California, we have many different types of emergencies coming in different forms: earthquakes, floods, wildfires, especially, even though this past wildfire season wasn't, too impactful. Nevertheless, it's still something to look out for. And then especially looking forward to this season, flooding is a huge thing to look out for. So good news is we have some tips and tricks for you to kind of look out for. This will be posted on our emergency preparedness webpage once we get all translations from DDS, but nevertheless, let's get into it. So the first topic is the Great Shakeout reminder. Right, so on October 16th at 10:16 a.m., all ACRC communities are invited to join the Great Shakeout earthquake drill by practicing drop, cover, and hold on wherever they are. So if you're in your day program, or if you're at your work, or even if you're in the office or at home, feel free to practice this with your support staff, with your coworkers, or with your close friends and family. Right, so the participation is super simple. Right, you can register on this website, on the Shakeout website, plan a short drill, and it's a great activity for people with disabilities, with specific different needs, to kind of practice the drill and then kind of see what works for them and kind of what doesn't. Right, so it's a good way to kind of just review what your emergency drill is for earthquakes at least. The next topic is just daylight savings, right? So a reminder that daylight savings ends on November 2nd. That's when they set our clocks back. So it's also the perfect time to just, update and refresh your emergency go kits. I know in the emergency management realm or the emergency preparedness realm, we always talk about having a go kit, super important. And replace any items when you're running low, or consider, the season change, right? So if you have an extra pair of clothing in there, ensure that you have, a jacket in case you have to evacuate during the winter due to winter storms, or even if you have to shelter in place. Consider having a stay box with all of the essential items, and maybe even some backup power when the power shuts off in those outlying areas. And also while you're at it, check smoke alarms and carbon monoxide alarms, right? Change the batteries if it's needed. And remember, if those devices are over 10 years old, it's time to get a new one, guys. That's kind of the expiration date, or rule of thumb, at least, for these types of devices. So the next topic is flood safety tips, right? So now if you or someone that you know or people that you support live in flood-prone areas, fall is a season to really just pay attention to floods, making sure that that your home and the people that their home is at risk for floods. Obviously, keeping a go bag ready or go kit ready with basics like water, medication, flashlights, and chargers. And never drive through floodwaters, right? That's the number one tip for transportation during this season, and maybe even into winter as well. Right, you've probably heard the phrase "turn around, don't drown." It really is that simple, right? So if you happen to, have, or I guess just be on the road and you see, I guess, a flood-prone area, it's just best to find an alternate route. So really just kind of honing in on getting familiar with your local area, your local city, and knowing alternate routes for evacuation and just for your daily transportation. All right. Moving into the next topic, right? So we're going to be talking about just different things that aren't related to natural disasters, right? So preparedness just isn't about gathering extra supplies. It's also about health and well-being, right? So this fall, it's important not just to stay up to date with your vaccines, such as flu and COVID vaccines, but also just to protect yourself and others, and consider your mental health, right? And your emotional health, right? So emergencies can be super stressful, whether it's a medical emergency or health emergency, or an emergency triggered by natural disasters, and super overwhelming for a lot of our clients. So if you or someone is struggling, you could always call or text 988 for any time for the crisis hotline. It's pretty accessible, right? So you could either call, text, you could do an online chat, and for individuals who are deaf and hard of hearing, You could also do a 998 video call online as well. It's available in Spanish. So that is another way to kind of access our Hispanic communities. And then finally, technology can always be a huge help, right? Michael was kind of talking about some instances of using technology to supplement daily activity for our deaf and hard of hearing communities. But other than that, it can be used for emergency preparedness as well, right? So consider downloading the MyShake app to get real-time alerts on different earthquakes, especially throughout the coast of California where earthquakes tend to happen frequently. And then for real-time alerts, you could always go to calalerts.org and then sign up for, timely alerts from local fire departments, local law enforcement, and your Cal OES offices within your county. So you could sign up by alerts by your county. I could leave that in the chat and also a link to this kind of like tips and tricks bulletin page. So again, thank you guys for taking the time to just listen to what I have to say. And I'll leave my email in the chat as well, in case you guys want to, follow up with any emergency preparedness tips and tricks or any resources. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Hubert, for keeping us informed. And it's always good to share the resources, right, that DDS also has on their website. So if our community wasn't familiar with that, right, and I know that we link that to our emergency response page as well. So thank you so much, Hubert.
Yeah.
I want to share an announcement of an event that's coming up that Alta will be participating in. So just give me 1 second to share my screen. All right. Are you guys seeing the Run for Safe Haven? Oh, not yet. Hold on. I see I haven't fully shared. Good. Cool, Hubert, thank you. So this year again, Alta Regional is going to have a team participating in the My Sister's House Run for a Safe Haven, right? This is the 22nd annual run that they have done. So My Sister's House, they are a nonprofit here locally that mission is to serve Asian and Pacific Islander and underserved women and children who've been impacted by domestic violence, sexual assault, or human trafficking. So Sharon Kerpinski, our victims advocate, always tries to make sure our community is updated on events that are happening for this community. And so we are excited to be able to go out on October 25th. It is at William Land Park at 9 a.m. I'll put the main website here in the chat, but really great cause. We had a great turnout last year. I know this year, because of course it's near Halloween, they're promoting wearing a hero mask and things like that. But if you're interested in supporting My Sister's House and this event, please come. October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. So that's another reason why My Sister's House does it in October. And it's very important to our regional centers to support our clients that may have been a victim, whether it's of domestic violence or a crime or of human trafficking, right? That's very near and dear to our hearts. So hope to see some of you folks out there as well. So also wanted to share, so next DDS had put out a community message, right? Because I think many of us are aware that there is a federal shutdown. So I want to share just a community message from DDS's website. Let me share my screen here. DDS just trying to kind of help make sure people stay informed, right, on what it might mean locally in California. So I'm going to go ahead and just read this to you guys. The federal government provides significant funding to support individuals and families through multiple programs. As of October 1st, 2025, federal funding has lapsed. State funding for the department's programs have already been approved, right, through June 30th of 2026. And in an effort to keep the public informed, right, they want to share these potential impacts and what it can mean. So regarding SSI, Supplemental Security Income, those payments will continue Although customer service at the Social Security Administration could be impacted, right? We could see a slowdown with that. SSI should not be impacted by the federal shutdown. SSI, as we know, is a vital program for people in California, including individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities. In regards to Medicaid, right, which we call here in California Medi-Cal, this is also funded by the state through June 30th of 2026 and by the federal government through the end of December of 2025. This year, 37% of funding for developmental disability services comes from Medi-Cal. While DDS does not anticipate immediate disruptions, a prolonged federal government shutdown lasting past December could potentially affect those federal funds. In regards to supplemental nutrition assistance program called CalFresh, October 2025 monthly benefits will be ineffective according to the guidance that was provided by the U.S. Department of Agriculture, Food and Nutrition Services. The California Department of Social Services continues to track developments at the federal level and assesses potential next steps. In regards to federal agencies, most have plans in place for operating without a federal budget. Based upon various laws, it is likely that many federal employees will not be working and will not be paid. So access to information, technology assistance, or other communication within the public may be limited during that shutdown. In regards to kind of defining essential employees, right, the federal agencies, each federal agency will have their plan and hope to be able to continue to work and be paid. Defense and law enforcement agencies often continue to work. Many Medicare employees are also expected to continue working. Many Medicaid employees at that federal level are also expected to continue to be working at least through December of 31st of this year. The Food and Drug Administration is expected to continue its oversight over drugs and devices, and the public can expect less help and slower help from the federal agencies through this time, right? So, and of course, we never share this information to frighten people. We just want to help share the communication that DDS has gathered for California and all the regional centers, right, to help just keep our community and our clients and families informed. Just want to make sure there's nothing in the chat. Okay. So next, just want to give you guys an update here that we have released our October newsletter. It is on our website. I will drop the chat here in just a second, but just kind of a reminder, I'm not going to read through the whole thing for you guys today, but just so that you can see it's highlighted, it is available on our website. It's available in several different languages should your primary language not be English. It always is going to have an executive director's message. And so some of the other things that we highlight in here, right, are our community outreach opportunities. So within the past quarter, Alta Regional Centers, the Diversity Outreach Group has participated in 19 different events. As you can see here, and Shamir, our cultural diversity specialist, helps organize many of these outreaches for us, which is great. So we always highlight those outreach opportunities. The Provider Advisory Committee did have a presentation this past month on the PAVE pilot program. So there is information in our newsletter regarding that. And in regards to, stories regarding how we serve our mission, we are always going to help highlight some of our employees of the month, right? So over the past month here, we've looked at Jasmine Holtz. She was in July. She's part of our accounting, right, which is so important in that realm right now through the rate study, right? So Jasmine is very busy, but we're very thankful to have her services. Lucia Hutchinson was a service coordinator who was highlighted in August. She is one of the service coordinators in our Woodland office. So always great to see the hard work of our of our case management staff being highlighted in the newsletter. We also had Amy McCrary. I don't know if you guys have had the opportunity to work with Amy McCrary. She is our clinical services manager, extremely valuable team member in our clinical department. And so we had an opportunity to highlight her as well, which was great. You'll also see if Altus has hosted any type of public meetings. There are continued LOIS public forums going on, so please stay tuned there. We also highlighted the direct services professional recognition, sorry guys, for the week. And we also have a new legal services manager, Jordan Cody. So he's going to be help educating us on the Public Records Act that many vendors know are going into effect, right, in 2026. So he will be there to help us through that process. In this newsletter, we also really highlight some of the great stuff that's going on with the DSP internship program. So please take time, vendors, to check that out, to see if your agency would benefit from having interns, right? Really trying to build up that DSP workforce. And so please know that you can access this here on our website. I am going to quickly scroll to the bottom here. I just kind of want to give you guys a snapshot. We always at the end of the newsletter will have a summary of how many vendorizations have been processed, right, through the year, right, and looking at the past quarter. So year to date for residential staff, so adult residential facilities that are staff operated, we have Michelle's team has vendored a total of 51 new care homes, right? And each of those care homes has 4 beds. So really amazing, amazing work there in regards to resource development for residential services. Sports club, we have vendored a total of 10 in 2025. Independent living programs is at 12 for the year for 2025. It does not look like we have processed some early start this year for speech pathologists, but we have done 17 early start specialized therapeutic service vendors, right? Service code 116, and then 19 new supported living providers, right? Which is just amazing. So let me copy and paste this into the chat so you guys know where to find it on our website. And as you guys also know, we have our events calendar that I will also drop into the chat right now, so that if you guys are curious about events that are happening, that you guys can stay informed and and have you guys participate here. For some reason it's not attaching. So for today, that is the agenda that we have for you. Like I mentioned, we will not be hosting Coffee with Community Services on the 10th, but John Decker will be back and we will be hosting Coffee with Community Services on October 17th. At that meeting, we are going to have Virginia Gabby, who's on today. She's been working on a substance use disorder training program. It's with Dr. Lori Eldridge. She was awarded a community resource development plan project back in 23-24. So Virginia is going to highlight some of the trainings that we've gotten thus far. And we also have an opportunity for service providers to be trained in regards to substance use disorders, right? And supporting individuals with developmental disabilities who have those co-occurring diagnoses. So we'll hear more from Virginia in a couple of weeks on that. We do have just a couple minutes left. If anybody had any other announcements or questions, I can give you a second. And it looks like our chat is clear, right, Scott? We're good to go there. So, well, I hope you guys all have a very nice weekend. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you on October 17th. Bye-bye.